All right, we're here at Hammerfab. We got some parts to go through for the IROC Z. We got to come up with a cool name for this car, but I can't think of any good ones right now, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, here's the car. You guys have seen some of the B-roll shots of it, and here's some of the parts we got so far. Now, I'm working on getting some new parts, like new suspension and stuff like that. I think we're gonna do the Detroit Speed front and rear suspension, but there's also some, I don't know what you call them, secondhand parts we're gonna be using on this. So a lot of this is all coming out of my pocket right now until we get somebody on board that wants to build this car to the next level, which we will do. This car is available to do that. I'm not interested in selling the car outright right now. I'm either gonna build it for me or the shop, or we're gonna build it for somebody else through the shop. But for right now, we've got a vision for it. I've had a couple of renderings done for it. So I've had two styles. So one version is kind of a mild modification that looks kind of stock. And the second one is a little bit wilder, which I'm kind of leaning a little bit more that way. More wide body, you know, a little bit nastier looking. But either one of them I think will work good on the road course. They're gonna have some wide tires. So, you know, I'm trying to be mindful of how I spend money on this. Trying not to just be frivolous with money and trying to do things smart, but still do a really cool build. I think a lot of people maybe get these cars and don't know how to drive them, and they wreck them before they ever get miles on them. So there's a lot of really decent parts available, like on eBay or Facebook Marketplace and all those places that, you know, are pretty good parts. They're just not brand new. So this all started, okay? A buddy of mine on Instagram said, hey, anybody need a TR6060 6-speed transmission? Well, I already had the car sitting here, and I knew if I ever did anything, it was gonna be a 6-speed. But, you know, I hadn't really planned on getting started this soon on it. So anyways, he says, anybody wanna buy this? So I said, I do. And so that's how it started, was with the 6-speed transmission out of a low mileage Camaro. And so I went and picked that up when I went out to Tennessee for a car show. And that's kind of how I got started. It didn't come with the clutch or the flywheel or any of that. So I ended up getting a used flywheel and clutch. There again, low mileage car, barely used. It'll bolt right up for like pennies on the dollar. So that just showed up today. So now I think I've got all the pieces. I had to hunt down some bolts and hardware online to put all that together. But I think I've got all the pieces to put the transmission, made it to the LT4 supercharged Z06 engine that I also got for a song. So that was a Facebook Marketplace deal. Guys, spend way too much time on Facebook Marketplace. That's how I got the car. That's how I got the engine. I've gotten way too many projects that way. So I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. Stay off of Facebook Marketplace. All right, we're gonna unwrap these wheels first, because I just can't wait to see it. You know, we're kind of taking a little bit of a gamble on all these used parts. I have no idea what they look like. Whoa, is that Burt Reynolds? Yeah, baby. I think that was Burt Reynolds went by. Yeah, so we're kind of taking a gamble on these, but you know, I figure for a low mileage car, can't be that bad. You know, got 4 wheels, 4 tires. What are the chances that all 4 of them are useless? You know what I mean? So if one of them's bad, I got them cheap enough where I could probably get another one and still be okay money-wise. But these are mounted, balanced. They still got good tread wear on them. Ready to go. All right, let's see what they look like. Not bad, not bad. We got one little nick right there. Not bad for the first wheel. Oh, and they've already got the tire pressure sensors, and the guy sent me some kind of programmer to program the tire sensors. I don't know how that works, but this is the front tire, okay? Look how wide that thing is. That's a 305, let's see, 305/30 ZR19. And these are the Goodyear Eagle F1s. So they're kind of like a drag radial. Let's see what it looks like. We got to mock it here. Oh yeah. I don't even think I'll have to lower it. Just put that on there and be done with it. Well, yeah, I guess it'll raise the car a little bit, so I might have to lower it just a little bit. Or if we do the wide body, the big flares, we're definitely gonna have to lower it. Comment below if you think we should wide body it or leave it as stock looking as possible. All right, next on the list, we got some, let's look at the brakes. We got ZL1 1LE brakes. Those should be in here. Oh my gosh, look at that rotor. Look how massive that rotor is. That thing's like 1.25 inches thick. I don't know if these are 16s or 15s. They're gigantic. They are not carbon ceramic, but they are huge. That's a front one, I believe. Oh yeah, left front, right front. Looks like that one's in good shape too. Nothing wrong with it, just bolt it on there and have big brakes. I know why they go to carbon ceramic now. Those things are heavy. This thing's probably 25 pounds a piece. All right, then we got calipers. These are the rear calipers, Brembos. That one's just got a little scratch on it, but otherwise they're in good shape. They came with the bolts. I guess I can't really prop them up. They padded them well, so that's usually a good indicator that whoever was selling them was taking good care of them the whole time they had them. Look at that thing. That thing is massive. It's like brand new. I mean, it's got a couple of scratches on it, but even the pads still got some life to them. They just got a little surface rust on them, probably from sitting in a salvage yard somewhere. But they're in excellent condition. Those are gonna look great. I know they're gonna fit these wheels because these wheels and the brakes came off the same car. All right. We got banjo fastener bolts here for the banjo fittings for the brake lines. This is the other front one. Just don't want to drop it. That one's leaking a little bit. Brake fluid on it. All right, not bad. Just a few little chips on it, but honestly, once that's in the wheel, you're never even gonna notice that. I mean, we ain't building a show car. We're trying to build a really nice road car. So these are plenty good for what I'm wanting to do. You know, if somebody wants to buy this car and wants it nicer, we can repowder coat them, repaint them, whatever you want to do. Got the original GM sticker on there. These are probably the original brakes from the manufacturer, and it's just a low mileage car that got wrecked. Oh, we got one little ding there. Looks like maybe somebody dropped it after they took it off. We're still on brakes here. So I got on thirdgen.org, okay, which, guys, I'm not a member on there. I don't even know if you have to be a member, but every time I search for something third gen, there just happens to be forums that pop up on thirdgen.org, and it's been very helpful for me in researching this car and kind of getting this build going. So I'm planning on putting some links on thirdgen.org, create a username or whatever I got to do. So be on the lookout for Hammerfab on thirdgen.org. We're also going to start a blog at hammerfab.com on this car. The build process, we're gonna have pictures, we're gonna have links, things that we're buying, things like that. Also, we're gonna be putting this on motorcode.com. So we'll have parts on there that you can look up what we have. It's a really cool thing. If you guys haven't heard of it, go to motorcode.com and check it out. Okay, so back to thirdgen.org. I was on there. I've got a lot of really good tips on there, so thank you. I don't even know who it was that posted this stuff. I just randomly find tips that I need for doing this IROC, okay? So there's not a lot of information out there. I mean, there's a lot of third gen information, but there's not a lot of retrofitting LT4s with 6-speed TR6060s with ZL1 Camaro brakes and rotors and wheels and everything. But there are a few nuggets on there. But there's about to be more, okay? So we're gonna be putting some information on there. So one of the things that I found on there that was really helpful was the ZL1 brakes. Now they were not using, this guy that was on there was not using the ZL1 wheels, but he was using the ZL1 Camaro brakes. And he had a really good tip on there from this company called bigbreakupgrade.com. So I went there and they have kits already, bracketry and stuff made to retrofit these large Brembo ZL1 brakes to an 85 IROC Camaro or 82 to 92 third gen. So go on there, check it out. They've got stuff for other body styles as well, but they have what we need to basically make these brakes bolt on to this car. And that's pretty cool. So that's one of the brackets. Let's see what this is. Okay, so some of this stuff, okay, these are cool here. So originally, the front rotors on these cars have the brake rotors have the hubs built into it, right? You recognize those kind of rotors? Well, what they do, in order to fit these big brakes on there, we can't have, this is a hub with a rotor that slips over it. So how do they do that? Well, they start with brand new IROC rotors and they cut the brake part of it off of there and they turn them into hubs that now go onto the spindle, and then these brakes slide onto these hubs. So that's pretty cool. And you can just buy them brand new like that, and you can get new bearings and races and everything in them. So that's pretty cool. Bigbreakupgrades.com, packaged really well. Stuff was in stock, showed up in less than a week. Now on the front ones, it'll tell you he's got some really good instructions on his website. It'll tell you what you need to do, if anything, if there's any modifications required, which there is on these front spindles. So I don't know exactly what I got to do, but I got to cut something off of the stock Camaro spindles, and then in order for these brackets to get you the maximum depth so that your wheel isn't sticking way out, you have to clearance the back side of these calipers right in this area here. So this bolts on here somehow, right there. And anyways, we have to bolt these into a fixture on our mill, our Bridgeport mill, and machine a little bit of this aluminum out of the way so this bracket can sit down tighter, and that'll make it so our wheels don't stick out real far. But we can handle that here. He also offers that service. If you don't know how to do that, if that scares you, you can mail him your calipers and he'll machine your calipers for that upgrade. All right, now this, I'm guessing, this is also big brake upgrade stuff, bigbreakupgrade.com. I'm assuming this is for the rear, so I had to think ahead a little bit. You gotta decide, what do you wanna do, okay, on the rear end? Do you want to use the stock Camaro rear end and put big brakes on it, and be limited by that track width? Or do you want to upgrade to the Detroit Speed quadra-link suspension with a Ford 9-inch and kind of pre-plan on what your track width is going to be for your wheels? So that's, I kind of bit the bullet on that and decided to go ahead and plan ahead for a Ford 9-inch. And so this guy, Big Brake Upgrades, he makes a kit either way. You can either go with the stock Camaro rear end or the Ford 9-inch. So these are the adapters for the Ford 9-inch. Or actually, these are the backing plates. So this is the backing plates. So what he does is he gets a GM backing plate, and this is his bracketry that he makes, and it's retrofit to work with the emergency brake for these, the rear rotors. The rear rotors have an internal emergency brake, and so this is made to work with that, which is pretty cool. And this flange here is for the Ford 9-inch. So this will bolt right on a Ford 9-inch and work with these brakes with these wheels. That's pretty cool. It's a little bit more money for this, but I want to be, since it's a manual car, I'm going to have an e-brake. And so basically, if you get this, all you got to do is retrofit the e-brake handle to these cables, and you're done. So that's, I'll keep these, okay? All right, these should be the rear rotors. If you see, hey Brian, if you see any packing slips, can you get those? All right, these should be the rear rotors for the ZL1 Camaro. So whenever I buy stuff like this secondhand, whether it's eBay or Facebook or something like that, there's usually a lot of different options. Like you might find one left front rotor or one left rear rotor or caliper or this, that. I try not to hodgepodge it all together. I try and get stuff that's all from one car. That way, you don't got to try and match the way the brakes were set, you know, and you don't have to get them reground and everything. In theory, as long as they're okay, you should be able to bolt them on and they'll work, and they won't pulsate and stuff like that. So all the brake pads will be about the same wear. So try and get everything from one car at one time if I can. All right, so yeah, these ones have the internal brake shoe, and they look like they're in good condition. They've barely been used. They just got a little bit of surface rust on them, but we'll just knock that off of there and we'll be good to go. They're in pretty decent shape. They got some minor lines in there, you know, but no big gouges. I'm just gonna put them on and run them. So I'm taking a risk, a guessing game a little bit on these wheels fitting the car. You know, I know the bolt pattern will fit, but the backspace or the offset, those are two different things, by the way. But they both tie into one another, but I don't know what this is gonna look like when I bolt them onto the car. I don't know if they're gonna be sucked in, pooched out. I got a feeling they're gonna be pooched out a little bit, but I don't know. And these are both front wheels right now. The rear ones are coming tomorrow, I think. But the rear ones have a different offset than the front ones. And so, just so I could be prepared and kind of be ready to mock this stuff up when I get ready, I went ahead and ordered some wheel spacers. Now, typically, this is like a no-no, okay? Typically, you don't want to run this type of a wheel spacer if you can avoid it at all costs, okay? But in the rare occasion that you get in a pinch, and like mainly on the front, so the rear, when I get the rear end from Detroit Speed, I ask for them to leave it long so that I can put the ends on myself and tune it and basically not have to have any wheel spacers in the back. That's the goal there. But for temporary mock-up and fitment and like just getting a visual of what it's gonna look like with the stock Camaro rear end, We can mock this stuff up before the 9-inch even shows up, before I even do the quadra-link suspension. We can mock this up, and let's say I want to just add 3/4 of an inch or a 1/2 inch, or maybe you need 2 inches. Well, they make some wheel spacers that will allow you to do that. Now, there again, if you can avoid running them in the end, do so. We may end up needing to do some wheel spacers on the front, and if I have to do that, I'll do that, because it's hard to change the front track width of the car as easily as it is a straight axle in the back. So hopefully we don't have to, but if we do, we'll try and keep it to a minimum. We'll find out. We'll show you in another video. All right, we just got a couple of little things here. I had to hunt down some bolts. These are for the bell housing on the transmission to the LT4. They're just metric bolts, but got to make sure you get the right thread pitch and the right size. And then another thing we got right here is a supercharger pump. So I believe this one is for an LSA, but it should work for what we're trying to do. GM part number right there. This one was secondhand. This was from Amazon. I got it for like half the price of a brand new one. I mean, a brand new one's like 250 bucks, so saved quite a bit of money there. Should work fine for what we're wanting to do. All we're trying to do is pump some coolant through the intercooler, through the heat changer, and keep that cooled down. So should be able to use that. All right, what do we got here? Oh yeah, okay, let's do this real quick. All right, onto the interior. So we're gonna do a 6-speed, and I really am not a fan of the 90s 3rd gen Camaro interiors. They're kind of clunky and plasticky looking, especially the console. Now, the dash and the door panels and stuff I can live with, but the console is something to be desired, and it's automatic. I got to change that anyways. There's no cup holders, which really bugs me. I can't believe they didn't have cup holders in the 80s. You guys remember the ones that used to stick on the window, the little plastic ones that hang on the window and you had to use because none of the cars had cup holders? I mean, come on. And now how things have changed, you got to have room for your big gulp now. I mean, especially in Texas. So anyways, I had to do something with the cup holders. I didn't want to make a whole new thing. So I'm going to see if this works, and I think it might. This is a 2010 to 2013 Camaro console, okay? It's way better looking than the one that's in this car. And I think we'll be able to fit it in there with minimal modification. And the nice thing about it is those cars had a 6-speed transmission. So the centerpiece of it will work, and they have the gauges down low here. There, look at that, 2 cup holders. And it still has a nice little cubby here for putting stuff in, finished off nice on the back. Now this is a secondhand item, okay? So it's gonna have some scuffs. Actually, I think that's just, I don't know what that is, but we'll just put a little bit of that, maybe hit it with some of that SEM vinyl paint, or maybe we just leave it. It looks fine. This is where the e-brake handle is. It was out of a manual car, so it's got the e-brake. And look at that. That works nice. It's still got the foam liner in there. It's gonna look like a brand new car. Look, it's even got a USB. It's got a USB plug and a cigarette lighter adapter. And so I looked for one that was black with gray stitching, because this car interior is already gray. And I figured as long as I stay black and gray, it'll look like it's always belonged. I won't have to refinish anything. This side of it looks really nice. So I think I've already kind of mocked this up in there, and I think we can basically take that console out. Might have to modify these sides a little bit or something to fit, but it should fit in there pretty well. I'll keep this one too. All right, so to go along with that console, I hunted down the trim section, okay? So it's gonna be a 6-speed. So I looked for one that was out of a 6-speed car. So right here, it has the shift pattern, the H shift pattern for a TR6060 with reverse up. Reverses up and to the right. Now this one, some of the cars were supercharged, the L1s. This one has the boost gauge down here, which I thought was pretty cool. And this part should snap right into this part. I'm not gonna push it in just yet, but it will snap right in there. And that is gonna look pretty cool. Now, the other thing I hunted down was the shift bezel. So some of these cars had 6 speeds. I found a really clean leather boot with the gray, or I think they call it a stone colored stitching with the original shift handle. So for right now, I'm gonna run the original shift handle. I looked online, there's some really cool billet aluminum ones. I mean, I might upgrade to that later, but I just couldn't spend $300 on a billet shifter knob when I can't even drive the car yet. So I'm gonna settle, like I got the whole shifter with the boot and the plastic bezel that snaps in there. It was like $100 bucks. So we're gonna rock that for now. All right, what we got here, I believe, is engine mounts, or motor mounts. Motor. You guys get mad when you call it a motor, because it's not a motor. Electric motors are motors. It's an engine. Anyways, we got, look, they even call it an engine mount, not a motor mount. GM LT engine mount. Now this is another cool part, guys. This was on, I saw this on thirdgen.org. This is from Hawks Motorsports. I am not sponsored by them. They did not give me this stuff for free, but they got some pretty cool stuff. This, supposedly, this engine mount kit will retrofit an LT engine, LT1 or LT4 5th gen, into a 3rd gen IROC cross member, okay? And I called them to ask them before I bought this, and they were really good on the phone. They had really good customer service, tech support. I wanted to talk to the guys that were actually doing the installs. So they said, I said, how far back does this put the LT engine in the car? And I said, is it pretty far back? Because I was concerned about radiator fan clearance and things like that. And they said, yes, it puts it back pretty far, close to the firewall. And they said the only thing you have to modify is you got to cut a little chunk out of the stock heater box if you're running the stock heater box. And then you just got to put like a little, I guess, panel bond, a little patch on it or something. So not a big deal. I don't mind doing that. I want the stock heater box. So yeah, these should work out good. So these are like the clamshell style engine mounts. You know, let's get the picture out so we don't have to open every single little thing. All right, there, that's what they look like. Nice CAD drawing, polyurethane bushings in the middle, and a bolt right up to LT4. Very cool. Now, what I am curious about is whether I got red bushings or black bushings. Got red bushings, which is all right. I'd rather have black ones, but that's okay. This is the transmission mount, red ones, it's all right. They'll be way under the car, you won't see them. So anyways, I'm not gonna open all that up, but there is a cross member in here. So they make a special cross member for mounting the TR6060 in this car, and everything is supposed to just bolt right up. So we'll let you know later on that. Comment below if you guys have had experience with this kit from Hawks Motorsports. It looks like it's gonna work good, looks like it's good quality stuff, but let us know otherwise down below. All right, this is another cool part that's available right now. Let's see, what is this? We in October 2023. Classic Industries. So this is an automatic car. We're putting a manual in it. So we gotta upgrade the pedals. This is supposed to be a manual clutch pedal upgrade that bolts right in a 3rd gen Camaro. Evidently, the original ones are hard to find. I think most of these cars were automatics. There were some manual ones, but there's not a lot of junk ones laying around from salvage yards and stuff. Okay, so we got a brake switch there. And look at that. That's a nice unit right there. It's got the stock style Camaro, IROC Camaro pedals. Even says ABS on there, which I don't really like. I'll probably get another one of these and put over there, just because that bugs the heck out of me. I don't want it to say abs on it. I don't care if it has ABS brakes. Nobody cares.
You should just switch it over to the clutch pedal because you'll have abs after that clutch.
Yeah, we'll just switch these around. But you can get these pedals pretty easy. I actually like the pedal pads. It's kind of a honeycomb look on there. They're really nice, molded, textured rubber. And you can buy those, and then you can get the gas pedal. The gas pedal from the 3rd gen is actually pretty cool looking too. So that's a nice part right there. I sure hope it bolts in like they say it does. It looks like it will. Causes cancer in California. Only in California. All right, yeah, that's nice. Can't wait to get that bad boy installed. All right, I'll save this box too. We'll save this paper. As long as it's not all dirty, we'll save it. I have no idea what this is. Oh yeah, I know what it is now. It's heavy. Oh. All right guys, I got the LT4 Z06 Corvette engine. I believe it's a 2016. I don't know a lot about all those engines. I'm not an expert on when they started. I think when did they start? 2014? So from 2014 to present day, I don't know what the differences are really between them. I know the supercharger lids are different. The bell housings, I'm assuming, are all the same. I'm assuming so from what I understand, there's some that have a 6-bolt flywheel or a 6-bolt crank, and some of them have an 8-bolt crank, okay? So what I do know is this one has an 8-bolt crank, which I'm assuming means it's beefy. Mine did not come, mine came with a flex plate, like for an automatic transmission, so I had to hunt down a flywheel for a manual. So there again, I went to the interwebs to try and find a decently used one. or a mildly used one, and this is what I came up with. There was, and I wanted to buy, so I don't know what the pieces are called, okay? I don't do a lot of manual transmission stuff. You got the flywheel, that's manual, right? Flex plate is automatic. And then there's another piece that comes with this. Is that the pressure plate? Okay, so that's what I got. I got the pressure plate and the clutch and the flywheel. And this was from, so since the transmission came from a 2019 Z01. The engine is a 2016 Z06. I went with a clutch from the Z01. Is that what you would do?
Probably.
Comment below if that's what you would do, or would you get the clutch to match the Z06, or does it matter? I don't know. We're gonna find out. Oh, booga. It's a little rusty, a little rustier than I was hoping, but it's probably still okay. But it's a complete unit, so that's good. Doesn't look like there's any teeth missing. We got a few more parts to unwrap here. We've got some PWR, used to be C&R racing components here. So we've got a radiator, aluminum radiator with dual spout fans, supposed to bolt right in this bad boy. They had that thing in stock, no waiting. And we've got a heat exchanger, which they recommended. I believe this one is, they make it for a first gen Camaro, but they don't normally do this application for this car, so they don't have one that's like bolt-in ready. But the first gen one, it does the same thing. It's basically the same core that they would, if they were to make a bolt-in, it would be the same thing. But this one has aluminum tabs, top and bottom, so it's gonna be easier for us to fabricate some mounts to hang it where we want it. So let's check those out. Oh yeah, also real quick, my LT4 engine had a cracked plastic cover on there. You know, I know they're kind of cheap looking, but I kind of like the OEM look of the plastic cover. I'm just gonna run them. I want the engine bay to look OEM. I'm not gonna do a bunch of trick billet stuff under the hood. It's just gonna look like a factory Camaro. But anyways, I got 2 of those, found those on eBay. Let's check out this heat exchanger. You know, it's padded real good. Got plenty of space around it so it doesn't get damaged. These guys make some really good stuff. It's not the cheapest, but you only have to buy it once. Look at that. Now that's a nice unit. They've got it protected with some cardboard on there. And look, it's already got rubber mounts on it. So you wanna make sure that you mount it in rubber so that as it expands and contracts, it doesn't crack the heat exchanger core. So that's gonna be real nice. So we need this for the coolant to flow through for our supercharger. Supercharger has its own, well, the intercooler in the supercharger has its own coolant that's separate from the engine coolant. So that's gonna be real nice. All right, next, we got the PWR radiator with dual fans. It's got that nice molded foam. That thing's beautiful. Look at that, spout fans. So this one is designed to bolt right in this 3rd gen Camaro with no modifications from what I understand, and should cool way better than the stock radiator. And this one is set up for an LT4 engine. So it's pretty much a plug and play. It's got the correct size ports here for an LT. It's got the blow-by flaps or whatever you call those, so when you're high speed, it doesn't get too much pressure in there, lets the air pass through. So I'm excited to get that in there. All right guys, that's all we got for this video. Be on the lookout for our next video where we're gonna be tearing into the engine.